Hi, we're back. Hopefully you enjoyed my conversation with Sean Patrick Nolan. If you haven't, check out that video. We do a great job of giving some angles that maybe you haven't looked at or thought of for the upcoming Belmont Stakes. And as I said, this show is to get as many handicappers angles out there so to improve all of our ability to break down races and try to find winners. That's what's most important. So we'll continue with that theme as we take a look at the post positions and odds for the Belmont Stakes. And I had to have a Bostonian on. I can't leave out the West Coast in the middle of the NBA Finals. So although he is not a Warriors fan, we'll bring in someone from California. And I'll welcome in Finky from Turtle Sports. So glad to have you. Thanks for joining the show.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Not a Warriors fan, but Warriors supporter. Obviously, spend a lot of time in the bars and have a lot of friends in the business, so it's very beneficial to them.
Very good. I like to keep the theme going with the NBA Finals and mix it in with horse racing and do the whole thing. Why don't
Not
you give
much
us
of a game right now.
Oh, good, good. Why don't you give us a little background on what Turtle Sports is and what you're doing?
So Turtle Sports was founded because of the pandemic. All the other sports shut down. Looking for something to do, looking for some ways to interact with friends, when you're kind of away from each other. And at the time, I think there was only about 6 horse tracks running. So that's how we got into horse racing back in March of 2020. We just had that itch. We started it out. We figured out how to kind of build a system. We were already working on it to try and figure out how to make a couple bucks here and there. But once we really got the system down and the stats that we liked, we built what we called our Lundeen line. It's been tweaked and tweaked and tweaked since then over the last couple of years. But it spiraled into handicapping football, basketball, baseball. We don't do a lot of hockey. We don't do a lot of soccer. We might follow somebody's play. But we won't put one out if we're not confident in it. One of our big things is that since sports betting is not legal here in California, we're investing our money. We're not betting on sports. And so that's kind of the way we look at it. We're investing our money and we're telling you where we're doing it. If you want to invest with us, go for it. If you don't want to invest with us, don't. We're looking to be Northern California's premier sports investment, handicappers, podcasts, and all of the above.
That's awesome. And where can people find you?
You can head over to turtlesports.net. You'll see all of our picks that we put up there. The Lundeen line gets posted there whenever we put up any horse racing cards. And then also you can find us on Twitter @_turtlesports. We post plays there. Some of the handicappers that we have post their plays individually and tag us, obviously, and we go from there.
Awesome. And so the assignment that I gave you, which was to take a look at the Belmont Stakes this weekend for Saturday, find a couple contenders and give us some angles on why you think they'll win and maybe some negative angles on why they won't win. I don't want to just hear someone you love. Let's hear why you think they might be a vulnerability. And so with that, where would you like to start?
I'm going to start right with the odd duckling of the entire race. And of course, that's the Philly Nest with Jose Ortiz aboard coming out of Todd Pletcher's barn. And the reason that I go here first is it's not often that you see a filly run in a Triple Crown race, let alone the Belmont. There's only been 23 to ever run in the Belmont. So it's kind of an odd thing. It's a very long distance. Obviously, it's the longest of the Triple Crown races. And when I initially looked at everything and all the numbers started to come out and they said, there was talk, would Nest run, would Nest not run? Big fan of Jose Ortiz. He's had a very successful year. He's had a very successful run recently. But the biggest thing for me is that Nest is 6 for 6 in the money lifetime. And that's hard to get away from when you're looking at any sort of horse racing. You want to try and find horses that are consistent. Even when the track is a little bit wet, she's still successful, which is a good thing. She has good lifetime earnings as well. And even when she had a bad trip back in April at Keeneland, she actually still came back and won the race, which, is not often. I know everybody kind of looks at a bad trip a different way. Some people think, it wasn't really. Everybody kind of denotes it different. We do use for our picks and our power ratings and things like that, we do use the race lens. So we use the Equibase PP. So it will look a little different versus what you're looking at. So the progeny's there as well. I mean, she's out of Curlin. You can never argue with that. And obviously, being a $350,000 purchased as a yearling kind of shows that people kind of saw something in her, which was very successful. Now she did lose the Secret Oath, obviously, last time out when they were at Churchill and they ran the
Oaks.
excuse me, the Oaks. Yes, thank you. But you know what? Everybody kind of saw that there was maybe a little bit of chance for Secret Oath to take it. I personally cashed on Secret Oath. I liked her. So it does show that Ness can be beaten. One of the things that I don't like is she's never run at this distance. It's a very long way to go. And as I said earlier, there's only been 23 horse fillies to run in the Belmont Stakes, and only 3 have ever won it. You've got to go all the way back to 2007 to find a filly that won. Before that, you have to go back to 1905. So she is very much have the odds stacked against her. But just with the jockey, trainer, hard to overlook, lifetime earnings, and that 6 for 6 is really hard to overlook for me.
And a little bit of serendipity because 2007 was Rag to Riches, who defeated Curlin. Curlin,
Yep.
obviously the sire of Ness. So you're always having those fun angles. And this is why I'm doing this show, because this is a great, you get these different perspectives. And so we just got a whole bunch of perspectives from Sean. One perspective we haven't talked about is the weather on Saturday. It does forecast to be a little bit of rain right now. Of course, that can change. It's New England. Well, not New York's not New England, but it's like New England, and it changes on a dime. And that's one thing I hadn't pointed out before is that off track 2 races. Actually, her last 2 races, and it's the first and the second. The second was behind Secret Oath. That would be my concern. Is Secret Oath? We saw what Secret Oath did against the boys, and it wasn't flattering. So
Nope,
can Nest take that step that she wasn't able to take? I circled here what you mentioned. Distance for Nest probably isn't a problem based on breeding, but that's just on paper, and so we'll see if it is too long for her.
Well,
Where would you like?
and the other thing is her highest lifetime speed and pace was in that last race, and she still lost. So something to keep track of there. I mean, the one of the horses that I want to talk about, we'll get to in a minute. That was very successful, set a very good pace, and had a very, very fast speed rating the last time they came out. But we'll get there. Going back to horses that I like, I really, really, I looked very hard at this horse, Mo Donegal, actually, the 6. Again, progeny was a big part of it for me. Coming out of Uncle Mo, being, has a bloodline to Pulpit as well, which is always, it's always good to see down the line that you have these successful horses that have had good days. Again, Ortiz brother riding, again, Pletcher barn. So before I even looked at all of that, I have a hard time remembering which barn these horses are in or who rode them previously. I got to look at the PPs and know that stuff. And then, of course, I pull it up and, they're both, the Ortiz brothers are riding out of Pletcher's barn. Kind of a, I guess, conspiracy theory is, would the brothers work together coming out of the same barn? They always, have each other's back. You see them ride a lot of races together. And the first person they go to when one of them wins is they go up to the other brother and they high five and hug and all of that. So just, a little conspiracy theory. Like I'm not, we see a lot of trainers put 2 horses into races like this and try and use one to set the pace so that the other one knows where to go. They run them together. They train them together, all of that stuff. But, the thing about Mo Donegal is ran in the Derby, didn't have a great race, but that 1 slot's traditionally been very tough for a lot of horses. I know they got the new gate. It's, supposed to be easier because there's actually more distance between the rail and the 1 slot, but he just didn't get out of the gate well. He never really had a chance after that. All day during the Derby, actually, there was only 2 horses that ever came off the pace all day on that entire card, and Mo Donegal was not one of them. There was one other horse, and so basically, if you were out in the front, you were winning, and that's traditional for the Kentucky Derby anyway. Is that when you're out in the front, you're the leading the pack, or in those top 5 horses with 20 horses running. Usually, if you get behind, you're not going to be able to make up that ground. Obviously, we saw something a little different this year, and just something to keep in mind there. But Mo Donegal won the race before that, won the Wood Memorial, which traditionally the horses coming out of the wood don't do very well in the Derby as well. So something to think about there. So was it kind of just got in, maybe shouldn't have run? I don't know. Got beat by Whiteabario in simplification before that. So, he's run against some great races or some great horses. Did beat Zandon back in December. So that's always a plus there. But again, troubled trip, coming off of a troubled trip is always a good angle that I like. You want to find a horse who you have highly rated coming out of a trip like that. I don't really have a lot to say negative about it except for the fact that never run at this distance as well. Has won at Belmont though, which is going to be a huge thing. Belmont, from everything I've read and everything I've been told, is a little bit deeper of a dirt track than others. So horses coming in that have run there before, in my opinion, are going to have actually a better opportunity. Got the six gate this time instead of the one, so maybe get a chance to get out, use some of that early speed, and possibly get ahead. And that's what's been successful for him before. Obviously, when Donegal did win, though, Joel Rosario was aboard, not IRAD. So that's another thing, is went back to IRAD, was unsuccessful, still has IRAD aboard. So is that going to be the downfall again there?
Yeah, I'm a huge Mo Donegal fan, and the biggest prep race I hit was the Wood Memorial with Mo Donegal closing beautifully. I think the thing that I wouldn't like about Mo Donegal is 5-2. I think the Kentucky Derby race was much better than people think. I mean, I looked it up, and according to Trackus, there was only 3 horses that finished under 25 seconds. That was Rich Strike, Mo Donegal, and Barber Road. I think Barber Road has a very similar running style to Mo Donegal. I think he grinds it out really well. He was outside of Mo Donegal coming down the stretch in the Derby. So if you like a horse like Mo Donegal, it might not be a bad idea to take a look at Barber Road, who's 10-1, as opposed to 5-2. And that would be the one thing that I'm a huge Mo Donegal fan. I'm going to have Mo Donegal on my tickets, but I'm not going to leave off Barber Road if I like Mo Donegal, in my opinion. So I've put it out there in plenty of different places that I'm a Barber Road fan, and I'm looking for a price. So I'll continue to toot that horn as many times as I can. But Mo Donegal with IRAD, you can't go wrong. And it is a different track. That's why they call it Big Sandy. The Belmont dirt surface is certainly trickier. So one angle that people love is horses for courses, and 2 races over the track and a first and a third is certainly something to like.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, the only thing that I worry about is that 5-2. I don't know that you're going to see 5-2. I think people are going to look at that. You're going to get a lot more casual bettors, and they're like, "Oh, that horse didn't do very well the last time I watched it." And that's one thing we talk about at Turtle Sports is what's the last thing you saw, because that's what people remember and that's what people bet on. Horse racing is obviously a little different. It's a lot of pools. I don't know that you're going to see 5-2, and I've heard so much hype about Barber Road. I don't know that you're going to see 10-1 either. I think you're going to see more 4-1, maybe even a 3-1. I think you're not necessarily go off as the favorite, but like you said, if you're gonna put Mo Donegal on a ticket, you're gonna have to look at Barber Road as well.
Yeah, I really hope if Barber Road's out low, then no way I'll be taking him. I don't think with Rich Strike, who will be taking a lot of the money because of the name and from the Derby, and the people that didn't watch the Preakness are watching the Belmont because of Rich Strike. So I would imagine that that's where a majority of the money will be going between him and We the People. So 3-1, I'm passing on Barber Road, but give me that 10-1 all day long.
Absolutely. I will say that I am going to fade Rich Strike. Like, that horse ran the race of his life on a track where he broke maiden and was actually able to get the clearest path. There was only one path for him to win, and he actually found it. His jockey set his lifetime speed record out there, said it, doesn't have very good pace figures. Obviously, with a longer race, the pace is going to be very important here. I don't see it. I have some thoughts that I expressed to some friends of mine about how that race actually went down with him getting in with 30 seconds left. I already threw out one conspiracy theory. I don't need to throw out any others because I have no proof of anything at all. But yeah,
what if he's peaking though? What if he's peaking? What if, or on an upward trend, and you saw what the ability that he has on the Kentucky Derby day? And what if it wasn't just a kick in the bucket?
I mean, it's very possible. I mean, I sit here and talk about progeny, and you see that his sire Keen Ice was from Curlin as well. So maybe there is something there. Maybe looking down that lineage right there is, something that will, bring him, to the forefront. He does have a style where the only two races he's won, he's come from way off the pace down the back stretch. And with this being, a mile and a half race, he's gonna have the ability to maybe sit back and do that. So that would be the one thing I would say. But I will be fading him. I think that the horse just knew that he was, running the race of his life, had the ability to be the showstopper because there was nothing else there. Um, he's got one of the lowest class ratings out of all of these horses. Actually, if I'm looking at it, he's tied for last with actually Barber Road. I know not everybody uses class when they go to look at things, but it is something that we take into account when we're looking at this stuff. And I don't see it. I really don't see it. I think that they peaked, and that's going to be the end of it unless they go back to Churchill and win some other stakes races there. He's never had success at any other course except for Churchill Downs.
Yep, and if you're going to take the horse for course angle on the good side, you got to take it on the bad side too, and that might be the reason here for Rich Strike not liking Belmont. I did see that he galloped 2 miles yesterday, I believe, which that's almost getting into Crown Pride and Japan type training territory.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, he's had the rest. I talked about how White Abario skipped the Holy Bull, went back and ran the Florida Derby and won. You had early voting skip the Derby and go to the Preakness and win, and then obviously you had Rich Strike skip the Preakness, and now he was aimed for the Belmont. So it'll be a great story. We'll see it. You kind of have to decide, as I said, is he peaking and he has more to give, or was it just a one-time thing? And that's kind of where the line is drawn between if you're using him or if you're not. And if you're not, I think the money will be put on him that will make it advantageous to look elsewhere. So pretty good.
And if there's a prop for him to finish last, I would probably be taking it. That's how much I feel like he's a one-hit wonder. He's that band you hear of and everybody loves them for about 6 months and then they're gone.
We'll see. I hope not. So with that, I mean, you think he's going to be last? Who do you got on top?
Right now, I have Nest on top still. I know the odds are stacked against her. At 8-1, though, it's a very good number to be able to start building your ticket. But I think she can get there. I think one of the horses to look out for, though, if you want kind of a longer shot, would be Creative Minister. Just take a look at that. I don't have a lot on it. We took a look last time, ended up, not having the best in the Preakness, but you know what? Sometimes you got to find that one horse that just stands out for some reason. Brian Hernandez is a good jockey, and he's done a good job there for them. So just something to think about if you're looking for a horse. I don't think you're going to see a lot of money on him. Just like you said, everyone's going to be putting money on Rich Strike. They're going to see Creative Minister. They're like, I don't know who that horse is. You could see him, 10, 12, 15-1 by the time that they leave the gate.
The things I like about Creative Minister is at least going by the Brisnet speed figures. He put 2 together here in 86 and 88. Came back with another double of 101. And a rule that I kind of go by with 3-year-olds is you don't think they can regress until they actually do. And usually when you're putting 2 good pace speed figures back to back, there's a pretty good advantage there that they might take another step up. The one thing my concern would be with Creative Minister is 3 races in 5 weeks. That is the Triple Crown spacing that everyone's been talking about so loudly on Twitter. Is that going to be too much for a horse? And now that horse is at 3 running the longest distance that any of them will ever run. That would be the negative that I would put in there for Creative Minister that would concern me. But at a good price, I think he's certainly someone that you want to include in the mix, which is what we're looking for, right?
Yep, absolutely agree.
Awesome. Well, this was great. I really appreciate you taking the time. Again, this is TS Finke on Twitter, and you can find him at Turtle Sports. Want to give the Turtle Sports Twitter handle?
Yeah, it's @ Turtle Sports. We're still working on trying to get in contact with the person that has just @ Turtle Sports. At this point, it might just stick. I know people don't like the underscores, but it's the best that we can do at the time. And We appreciate everybody, checking us out, checking out turtlesports.net. You can actually go and subscribe to our website. It'll come right to your inbox. Anything that we post, 100% free. We don't pay for picks. We don't advocate for anybody paying for picks. I don't mind paying for information at times, but everything we do is free. Like I said, we're Northern California's premier sports investment podcast, and handicappers, that's our goal. We're still building our brand. We're trying to get our name out there. We're trying to do a lot of things. It's not our day job. So, if you want to add us and tell us that we're doing a bad job, we'll take that too, and we'll give you a thumbs up and a smile.
Well, I can guarantee you people on Twitter will like to tell you that too. So you got to take the good with the bad.
Exactly.
All right. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. Have a great night.
Yeah, you too. Thank you very much.